gentlemen, good Wednesday evening and happy hump day to you. It's weather for Weather Geeks time on the 12th day of May. 2021 today is going to go into the record books as yet another cooler than average day, but it was pleasant outside today, a little less windy than yesterday, and while temperatures struggled up into the lower 60s this afternoon, a good 8 degrees shy of average, it was still a winter. 62 is the high locally today, 59 in Erie, Hopkins Airport in Cleveland, 60. At the Pittsburgh International Airport, the afternoon high temperature was 63 today. Some of the other numbers today, 36 was our low this morning, some patches of frost at daybreak today. 5 above the record low for today's date, which is 31, set in 1990. We did have a max wind gust at the airport today of 25, but overall it was not as blustery as it was yesterday when we had some gusts of 30 to even close to 40 miles per hour at times. Good example today of what we call the lake shadow, with a field of cumulus clouds popping up except over Lake Erie and the nearby shoreline. When you have sunshine that heats the ground heats parcels of air above the ground. Those parcels rise high enough in the sky that they cool and the water vapor condenses. You get some clouds, popcorn cumulus clouds we call them. Well, the sun shining on that cold Lake Erie does not cause much in the way of thermals, much in the way of pockets of rising air, so you don't get as many cumulus clouds. In fact, oftentimes, like today, it's perfectly clear over Lake Erie and a lot of the Great Lakes, and that more stable zone extends a little bit farther inland as well. But we did have that field of cumulus over most of our TV viewing area today, made for another good sky watching day with those popcorn cumulus clouds that started right around midday, and they are diminishing as we go into the evening. Well, there's not much going on across the lower 48 states. For the middle of May, the severe weather risk tonight's pretty minimal, just along the Front Range, a couple of gusty storms in Colorado, but that is about it. Pretty quiet week overall for severe weather as we near the peak of severe weather season in some parts of the U.S., including the kind of Dixie Alley, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, places like that, and also across the southern plain states. We're kind of in the traditional peak of severe weather season in those locations right now. All right, no severe weather around here, but it's another night and probably almost for sure the last night we're going to be dealing with this. Probably the last frost advisory of the season issued by the National Weather Service for our entire TV viewing area. This frost advisory overnight into tomorrow morning. Temperatures will be pretty similar to tomorrow morning as they were to this morning, comparable to this morning, I should say, with readings in the mid-30s. All right, with a clear sky this evening, just after sunset. If you have a nice clear view of the western horizon, check out the sinking, very, very thin crescent moon. I mean, very thin. Less than 1% illuminated. It's kind of bosom buddies here with Venus, very low in the western sky and mostly just after sunset. So check this out before about 9 o'clock if you can. Up a ways from the moon and Venus is Mercury. Now, Mercury is usually pretty hard to see because of its proximity to the sun in our sky, but it's actually this week the best week of the year to check out Mercury. It's at what we call elongation. In other words, it's farthest point from the sun in our sky, a little bit higher in the sky than it usually is, so it'll be something that you might be able to see in the early evening sky just after sunset this evening. And then not pictured, up and to the left of Mercury will be Mars this evening. It'll be in the sky longer, nice and bright, a little easier to see. But if you catch this at the right moment this evening, you can catch the very thin moon next to Venus, and then Mercury, and then Mars, again, just after sunset this evening. By the way, the rocket launch from Wallops Island, Virginia, that's been postponed for several nights in a row now. Postponed again tonight. They're going to try Friday evening. Some sort of equipment problem tonight. It's not a problem with the weather. It's some sort of equipment problem. So that's why they are not doing the launch tonight. All right. The weather overall pretty quiet the next few days. I noticed today that my car was getting covered once again by quite a bit of pollen, and we are getting close to the peak of tree pollen season in eastern Ohio and western PA. Second half of May, early in June, and then grass and weed pollen becomes more prominent as we go deeper into summer and into the early fall season. But we're getting, the next couple weeks, getting pretty close to that traditional peak of tree pollen season. All right, the next couple days are going to be kind of reruns of the last couple of days. It'll get a little bit warmer each day, mid-60s, even upper 60s by the end of the week. Each day will start out with sunshine. Clouds will bubble up in the afternoon, some cumulus clouds, but that is about it. High pressure keeps us nice and dry through the end of the week. Some building moisture off to our west as the weekend begins, but this is not going to get the green light to come east until early on next week. So it looks like a nice weekend forecast, about 70 both days this weekend, especially on Sunday. We might even sneak into the lower 70s on Sunday, which is par for the course at this time of the year. And the moisture that will build across the nation's midsection over the weekend will finally come east as we go into next week. So not only will it turn a little warmer, the atmosphere will become a little more moisture-laden with a couple of disturbances coming through. Finally, some shower chances returning to our forecast early on next week. Big upper low across the Four Corners region. Downstream of that, this looks like a pattern that will produce some precipitation in a lot of places east of the Rockies and a severe weather threat out in the middle of the country. At this point, not real concerned about severe weather around here next week, but certainly it will be a different week. It will be more seasonable, more typical of mid-May. So some changes to look forward to by next week. That's it for me tonight. Pretty quiet weather for the next few days, so we'll keep it short and sweet. Thank you for checking out the Wednesday evening edition of Weather for Weather Geeks, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.